Hi, Spellsgirls1091 here, and welcome back to part 2 of Gale of the Nomads and I's rewrite of Chat Blanc. I deeply apologize for the gap in between parts, but as you know, Distance Ed has begun, so I've been quite busy. But I was finally able to record this, and I've been working hard to get this to you guys as soon as I possibly could. Before I say anything else though, I highly advise that you go watch part 1 of this video if you haven't already, or need a refresher, and then come back when you're ready. So, for a quick recap, I was really unhappy with how Chat Blanc was executed in the show, so I decided to rewrite it with the help of the amazing Gale of the Nomads. His stuff is in the description below, so go check him out if you haven't already. There really isn't much else to say other than that, so enjoy the video! We begin at the breakup scene. Bunnix looks ahead. Oh no. The tragic confrontation at the bakery happens. Marinette pleads a little bit more, but then gets dismissed. Then, the tragic breakup in the rain. Marinette stood at the opening of the Agreste mansion gate, clutching her umbrella tight to her chest as she broke up with the boy of her dreams. Forgive me. We're just not right for each other. What are you talking about? Marinette, you can't mean that. I do. But we love each other. No, I don't love you anymore! Then, Marinette turned on her heel and ran. As soon as those last words left her lips, Adrien felt his heart break. But what he didn't know was that Marinette's heart had broken too. No, Marinette! He cried. He grabbed the gorilla's arm and shook it. Please let me through! It can't end like this! Adrien clutched his hands to his heart, and tears began to well in his eyes. It can't end at all! I love her! His voice broke. The gorilla knew what he was ordered to do, but he also knew that Adrien had been the happiest that he had ever been since his relationship with Marinette. He decided that he must do what was right. He let the boy through. But, unbeknownst to the boy and his bodyguard, something more sinister was in place. From the second floor of the Agreste mansion, Natalie watched the scene unfold. She was on a call with someone, filling them in as the scene continued. Everything is going as planned, sir. Cue Hawkmoth's lair scene. Ah, I have never felt such utter despair. He reached out his hand, and an Akuma landed gracefully on his palm. Marinette Pain Chang will be my ultimate masterpiece! He placed his hand over the delicate creature, and it began to change into a creature of darkness. It flapped its dark wings, and began to fly away. Fly away, beautiful Akuma, and evilize her broken heart! Adrien ran as fast as he could. He needed to reach her. Then, overhead, he heard a familiar flapping sound. He looked up, and sure enough, there was an Akuma, headed straight for Marinette, who was currently crying on the steps of the entrance to the subway. Adrien's face changed from one of sadness to one of horror. Marinette, move! Marinette turned around, and she saw it too. She froze. Adrien ran faster. If Marinette was akumatized, how could he get her back? He couldn't! She was the one who cured things. All he could do was destroy. Destroy. He knew what he needed to do. I'm sorry, Plague. Plague, claws out! At once, Adrien became Chat Noir, and he called for his cataclysm. He lunged for the Akuma, and seemingly by the skin of his teeth, destroyed the Akuma before it could reach her earring. Marinette sat there, still shocked, but now because of something else entirely. Adrien. Milady, I didn't have a choice. Milady? How did you know? Our identities were supposed to remain a secret. Marinette was in utter disbelief. She had so many questions. But right now, all she cared about was that he had saved her from a fate of no return. She dropped her umbrella, threw her arms around him, and they embraced. Chat hugged her tighter and whispered, "Everything will be okay. I promise." But everything wasn't okay. For Hawkmoth stood, questioning everything, alone in his lair. As soon as Adrian had transformed, Natalie had told him the shocking news. Adrian, his son, was Chat Noir. How could the universe be so cruel to him? First, he loses Emily, the love of his life, and now he was fighting his own son to get her back? At what cost? Nuru, Darkwind's fall. Gabriel stood in silence for a long time, contemplating, reevaluating. Sir? Natalie called reluctantly. He jumped at the voice. He had forgotten that he was still on the phone with Natalie. Natalie, I'm just trying to figure out what to do. Sir, forgive me, but what if we... She paused. What if we what, Natalie? Gabriel replied as he pinched the bridge of his nose. What if we... stopped? Gabriel stopped. He considered it. He turned toward the phone, but stopped himself. No. He couldn't leave Emily. Not when he was this close. No. We are closer than ever. But sir, we aren't fighting a normal superhero anymore. We are fighting your bloodline. Gabriel stopped and considered it again. Then, it came to him. What if, instead of an enemy, what if we made him an ally? What if he joined me? Natalie was speechless. They couldn't drag him into this. Sir, I don't think... Just imagine, Natalie. 3 of the most powerful miraculous wielders in Paris working together to take down Ladybug and get Emily back for good? Sir, it's a perfect plan! Natalie, soon, Emily will be with us again. We will be whole again. Natalie didn't try to fight him. He was too far gone. But right now, all she knew was that she couldn't let this happen. And now, the explanation of how Natalie got dismissed. You can't do this to him! He is your son! He has the miraculous. He won't simply hand it over. He won't understand unless I make him. They were in the sanctum where they kept Emily. I am done, Gabriel. I can't stand by and let you hurt your son like this. You have lost all sense of yourself. I swore that I would bring my dear Emily back no matter what. Adrian will forgive me once he understands the truth. Natalie turns into Moreira. I will stop you. Gabriel turns into Hawkmoth. I will do what I must. An intense fight. The two were equal, but Moreira started to give in, with the miraculous draining her of her power. She collapsed. She shifted back. He took the miraculous from her. I am sorry, Natalie. I didn't want it to come to this. He grabbed her frail body and tossed her into the water. But it panned away to a stunned Bunnix where the splash was only heard. Where's Natalie? Adrian was shocked to see Gabriel being the one to meet him at breakfast. She took a vacation. I had her working too hard. She found a nice place to relax for a while. Oh, like a beach resort? From what I remember, they had deep sea diving. Sounds lovely. Glad Natalie could get a break. But then, who will be in charge of my schedule? Adrian, I realize I have been hard on you. Father? I was the one that had Miss Dupain Chang break up with you. What?! It was a foolish action. I had callously focused on the brand instead of your own feelings. For that, I am sorry. Adrian was mad, but was shocked that his father was apologizing. Father, I'm glad you were honest with me, but you ruined the relationship with the girl I loved. That is why I'm going to rectify this mistake. I insisted that they come for dinner today. We will have a civil chat over this whole thing. You would do that for me? It just... Adrian, I realized how important you are to me. I am sorry for not realizing sooner. There was a hug. Bunnix fast forwards. Gabriel sends Adrian off to school, letting him walk with Marinette. We see Gabriel and Marinette working on designs. Then, Adrian and Gabriel at the Dupain residence having dinner. We see Marinette and Adrian working on homework with the gorilla nearby, and Gabriel watching from the corner of his eye. He sends an Akuma out. He watched as the two rushed out, and Gabriel smiled. He knew it. Now was the time to strike. Gabriel called his son into his office. It's time I show you something. He pulls out the book. I must confess that there is so much more to this than you understand. Follow me. He shows him the elevator. We transition into the lair. Father? What is all this? Gabriel says nothing until they reach the secret bridge where the iron casket was. Your mother's illness was not a natural one. Mother's illness? I never told you, mostly because I was not sure of how to cure it. He opened the steel container to reveal his mother's glass coffin. But this book, it revealed to me a secret. The miraculous can bring her back to us. Adrian's eyes went wide. But not any miraculous will do. I need Ladybug and Cat Noir's miraculous in order to cure her. Adrian was trembling. His mother was right in front of him. Gabriel turned to Adrian. I need your help, Adrian. You can help me get the miraculous so that we can be a family again. Adrian took a step back. How could I be of help? Gabriel's patience was running thin. I know the truth, Adrian. I know you are Cat Noir. Adrian felt his hands tremble. I have known for some time. I was surprised when I found out. Part of me was furious. Half of what I needed to revive her was under my nose. But it matters not, he said with a bit of rage before shifting back. Right now, it doesn't matter. Right now, we can fix this together. All we need is to get Ladybug's miraculous and everything will be okay. Father, for our family, for your mother, Adrian. But there is a price, Father. A life for a life. Can we really doom another person for the sake of Mother? Would she be able to accept that? And what if Hawkmoth caught wind of it? He could take the miraculous from us! Gabriel's facade shattered. He was done pretending. Nuru, Darkwings, rise! No! Hawkmoth stood before Adrian. You will hand over the miraculous, Adrian. This was your end goal? All this time, you were just being nice. To manipulate me? Hawkmoth didn't react. Enough of this foolishness, Adrian. Hand over the miraculous. Plague, claws out! Chat Noir rushed at Hawkmoth with his baton raised and ready to strike. Ladybug was on the scene. She had received a message from Chat Noir. SOS at my home. She had to hurry. She needed to get to him. She arrived at the gate, and Chat Noir went flying at the front door. Chateau! What happened? Who's been akumatized? Chat Noir got up. No, Akuma. Hawkmoth! He spoke as he tried to catch his breath. Hawkmoth walked out at the entrance, his cane in hand. Why must you fight me, Adrian? Do you not care for your mother? Does our family mean so little to you? Ladybug looked at Chat Noir in shock. He knew who Adrian was! Ladybug got into a defensive stance. So,
You arrived, Ladybug. I should expect nothing less from you. Ladybug could feel the tension in the air. Hawkmoth was giving off a different air. He was smug. He was so sure that he had this in the bag. Hawkmoth looked at the two. I recommend you both surrender your miraculous immediately. I wouldn't want to have to get innocent people involved. His voice was condescending. You can't do this, father! Chat Noir pleaded. Ladybug's eyes shot open. Father? If you don't care enough to save your mother, perhaps you will care when I attack the parents of your girlfriend. No! Hawkmoth jumped off in the direction of the Dupain bakery. Chat Noir and Ladybug hurried after him. The two did their best, trying to slow him down, trying to trip him up as he moved with their weapons, but Hawkmoth easily evaded their attempts. He arrived at the bakery and kicked the door in. Customers of Paris's #1 bakery were shocked by the appearance of the butterfly villain. If you value your lives, you will leave, he threatened. The customers rushed out in a frenzy. Sabine saw the villain approach her and her husband. She quickly grabbed a nearby broom in preparation to defend them both. Ha! You really think that will protect you? Hawkmoth mused. A yo-yo swings around his waist. He was suddenly pulled out of the bakery and slammed into a wall on the other side of the street. Ladybug and Cat Noir moved in front of the bakery. They were not going to let this monster get their parents. Well done! You managed to delay me for a bit. But tell me, are you going to be able to do this forever? We will stop you at any time! We know who you are! And I know who you are, Ladybug. I am a man of means, and the only one I have left is the reason I am fighting so hard to get the miraculous. Chat Noir tightened his fist.
Are you so easily willing to throw me away? Natalie as well?
Hawkmoth shook his head. Natalie tried so hard to protect you. Chat Noir felt his anger change into fear. What do you mean by that? She fought to protect you to the very end, even though she was the reason I knew who you are. What did you do to Natalie? Hawkmoth could see the negative emotion boiling from him. She was in the way. Adrian realized what his father had done. He realized everything his father had done! The attacks on Paris, the emotional manipulation, and even killing Natalie! Natalie was gone because of him! Chat Noir activated his cataclysm, and he charged at Hawkmoth, but Hawkmoth was ready. He slammed his son's arm to the ground and made him cataclysm a hole in the street. Ladybug looked in horror as Hawkmoth knocked Chat Noir into a wall. He pinned his son against the wall with his hand upon his son's neck. Ladybug jumped in to help. She cracked him in the head with her yo-yo, forcing Hawkmoth to turn his attention to her. You will change soon enough. He charged at Ladybug. Chat Noir forced himself to get up as he watched Hawkmoth overpower Ladybug. They were both helpless against him. This couldn't be happening. And, just as things seemed bleak, Adrian realized his father had left him a horrifying gift, and Akuma was flying towards him. No! The Akuma slipped into his bell. Hawkmoth stopped his attack and smiled. It's over, Ladybug! I win! He says his name spiel when Cat Noir was akumatized in Chat Blanc. Chat Noir tried so hard to fight it, but the anger he felt at his father, he couldn't. I'm sorry, Ladybug. Chat Noir's suit turned white as snow along with his hair. His eyes shifted from green to blue. Hawkmoth gestured his staff toward the nearest building. Chat Blanc! I command you to destroy that building! Chat Blanc felt his hand move towards the Dupain bakery. Chateau, no! Ladybug pleaded. Don't give in! Chat Blanc felt the cataclysm forming in his hands. If you want me to call him off, hand over your miraculous, Ladybug, Hawkmoth commanded. I can't. Very well. Destroy it, my son! Let your aim strike! Hawkmoth shot. He held his chest in pain. Hawkmoth looked down in horror. He looked to see what his son had done. He had blasted him with his cataclysm. Adrian. Why? His transformation vanished as he turned to dust and faded away. Ladybug looked at Chat Blanc in shock. What have I done? Chat Blanc spoke as his voice shook. What have I done? He lost control. A white light of destruction burst from his body and struck the moon. The energy struck all of Paris. Chat Blanc couldn't control it. My lady, called out weakly. My prince, she called back. And everything was destroyed. Chat Noir's defeat. Ladybug was at a stalemate with Chat Blanc on a beam within the interior of the Eiffel Tower. Ladybug was doing everything she could to best her akumatized partner. Chat hadn't held back. He had pushed her harder and harder, and Ladybug's limbs were screaming from overexertion. It felt like they had been fighting for an eternity. With the combination of the Akuma's power and his own, he was unstoppable. Every time she attacked, he had a counterattack to match her own. Sometimes, it was stronger. The lucky charm that she had called was useless as well, for all she got was an eraser. Ladybug had Chat pinned down, and the only thing getting in the way of his broken baton knocking her out was her yo-yo, which was tightly wrapped around the staff as she gripped the string in both hands. She had dropped the eraser when she grabbed the string in both hands to fend him off, and it had landed on a beam below the one they were currently on. Ladybug's arms were starting to shake, and it was the perfect opening. Chat slammed his forehead into hers, knocking her to the floor and setting his baton free. Chat jumped to his feet and began to summon his biggest blast yet. I finally understand, Ladybug. This is it, isn't it? Ladybug looked at him in confusion. Finally! I have lost it completely! There is no way I could be fighting you! You're gone! Everyone is gone! I finally snapped! My brain just wants to punish me for breaking the world! Ladybug watched as he raised his hand in the air, his cataclysm growing massive. There is no miracle cure! There is no Ladybug miraculous! And there is no Marinette! I am all alone like I have been for so long! Months? Years? Decades? Who knows? Chat Noir, please stop! I'm real! She tried to approach him, but he used his other hand to blast at her feet. She dodged it, but instead she found herself falling off the beam going into the water. Chat Blanc looked up at his hand. The massive cataclysm was growing bigger. Infinite destruction, huh? Let's see if that's literal. The time burrow was starting to shake. Get up! Bunnix silently pleaded on the other side of the screen. Get up! Bunnix pleaded a little louder. But of course, Ladybug couldn't hear her through the screen. She was on her own. Ladybug was in the water trying to gather herself. She needed to get back up there. She needed to stop him. She looked up and paused. She was in front of her parents' bakery. It had been submerged. Despite all of Paris being flooded, their battle had led them here. Her eyes widened as she saw the dark statue of herself. She could see her own expression. It wasn't one of fear. No, it was one of sorrow. She touched the face of her cataclysmed version and saw it vanish into dust. She failed him. This version of her failed him. And she failed him. She got back up to the platform, her eyes unreadable. Chat Blanc had expanded his massive cataclysm. So, my delusion has returned to haunt me one last time. She walked over to him. I'm sorry, Chat. Chat paused. What? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's a little too late for that. He heard a sniffle. Ladybug had begun to cry. But Chat was hesitant. Knowing her, she pulled stunts like this all the time to defeat Akuma's, and this could very well be a ploy to get him vulnerable. But unconsciously, his massive cataclysm had receded to a normal amount. He stood his ground, and kept the blast still open, ready to expand again should he decide to go through with his previous plan. Ladybug had been covering her face with her hands, and then she pulled them away to reveal real tears. Her nose and eyes were red, and her eyes were glassy. The tears were streaming down her face, with no sign of stopping. Between sobs, she continued, I failed us, Chat. I should have protected you. I shouldn't have hurt you. Whatever I did, you didn't deserve it. Her voice broke. Chat was shocked. Why? Why now, of all times? Surely this was a trick, right? Right? I can't forgive you, my lady. There was a pause. I know. Chat continued to stand his ground. Boy, was she good! Chat held his blast and clutched his bell in his other hand. He looked up and studied her. Even when she broke up with him, she didn't seem this broken. This didn't make any sense. This isn't his lady. She doesn't even know who he is, for crying out loud. Protectively, he made the blast a little larger and raised his arm a little higher. Why did you stop fighting? Chat called out, slightly accusatory. She slowly moved to meet his eyes, but it wasn't fast enough. Why are you torturing me like this? I don't want to fight you anymore! Ladybug yelled, her eyes squeezed shut and tears rolling down her face. Well, what if I told you I don't believe you? Is there anything I could do to fix this? No! No! He held out his blast. She flinched again. Then how can I say that I'm sorry? You can't, because you aren't her! You aren't my lady! Her breathing became shaky again, and her vision blurred with another wave of tears. Of course he wouldn't forgive her. He didn't have a reason to forgive someone who didn't even know what they did. He was so far gone that he thought she wasn't even real. How did she manage to hurt him so badly? She loved Adrian, yes, but Chat? She never admitted it, but she cared about her partner more than he could ever know, and would do anything for him, regardless of her love for Adrian. Seeing how she was clearly the cause of his pain and suffering, she didn't know what to do. How to express the remorse she had for something that she didn't remember doing. She couldn't understand how he felt, and it destroyed her. The universe be damned. She needed to know what she did. She needed to at least apologize for that. She warily looked into Chat's eyes and spoke. Well, What did I do, Shat? He turned. What did I do to cause you pain? Shat paused for a moment and chuckled to himself, clearly thinking it was a stupid question. What did you do? Oh, I'll tell you what you did. Well, you... No. That was Father. Oh! I know! You... Shat stopped, trying to remember what she did. But all he could remember was her sad eyes as his cataclysm's blinding light destroyed Paris all those months ago. He slowly turned his head to look at her again, and his eyes widened. Misreading Shat's mortified expression as one of realization, she frantically replied, What, Shat? What did I do? Oh God, I'm so sorry! No, you didn't do anything wrong. Shat interrupted, his voice barely above a whisper. Ladybug was shocked. Huh? You weren't at fault. It was... During his months of solitude, Shat had his memories of everything warped so much that he found himself trying to make sense of it all. His lady never hurt him, but this manifestation of her, the one that couldn't remember who he is, the one that he wasn't sure was real or not, he was fighting himself more than he was fighting her. He just couldn't stand the sight of his biggest regret. My prince. Her words reverberated in his head, and his breath hitched in his throat. Oh my God. My heart isn't broken because of something she did. My heart is broken because I lost her. He fell to his knees and dissipated his blast. Ladybug gasped and covered her mouth. She stood there as she watched Shat begin to implode. Marinette, I am so sorry. Why are you apologizing? I still don't know if you're real or not. But I never got a chance to tell you how sorry I am. I failed you. I couldn't stop him. I failed Paris. I failed everyone. You were there. You tried to save me. And now you've appeared to try and save me again. Shat. Shat closed his eyes, and a single tear fell down his cheek. He slowly rose to his feet and walked toward her. He stopped a few inches in front of her and clenched his bell once more. This needed to stop. Ladybug looked away and closed her eyes. Suddenly, she felt two-toned arms wrapped tightly around her. Chat Blanc was hugging her. Without questioning him, she buried her head into his chest and continued to sob. They stayed there for a few moments, and Chat closed his eyes and rested his chin on her head. He stroked her hair with his free hand, and after a few moments, she felt him pull away. She kept her eyes closed and braced for an attack. But all she heard was a jingle. She stopped and looked up, her eyes wide. Chat was holding his bell out to her. She stared at him in shock once again. Her mouth opened and closed to speak, but nothing came out. Fix it. What? Why would you do that? Because I want to. But why? Marinette? Please take it before I change my mind. Chat Blanc replied. He was looking away, his eyes looking toward the sky. Marinette slowly reached for the bell, never taking her eyes away from Chat. Are you sure about this? Just do it. Ladybug shakily took a deep breath and looked at the bell in her hand. Before she broke it, she looked over at Chat Blanc. He was staring at her, waiting. She walked over to him, with tears still on the corners of her eyes. He reached out to wipe them away, and she closed her eyes again. She slowly stood on her tiptoes and gave him a kiss on the cheek. His eyes widened, and once she turned away, he touched the spot where she kissed him. It was warm. He felt her warmth. She was real. She had to be. She made a small smile and smashed the bell in her hands. She hurriedly caught the Ikuma and purified it. She jumped down to retrieve her lucky charm, and once again a portal materialized in front of her. She moved to walk through it when a confused voice called out, "Marinette?" She looked up, and a deakumatized Chat was poking his head out from the beam above her, with a very confused look on his face. "Hey, Chat. Don't worry, I have everything under control," Ladybug called out to the feline. "Oh, okay. I'll see you soon then. I love you." She paused and smiled. "I love you too." Chat waved as she stepped into the portal, and once again, her surroundings flashed away. Ladybug stared at the eraser. "Seriously, I have no idea to what I'm supposed to use this for." Bunnick shrugged. "I don't know either, but what I do know is that you have to hurry. You are going to transform back soon, and we're running out of time." Okay, think. In the background, Bunnix was looking through her screens when Ladybug heard a familiar voice.
Ladybug?
She turned around, and on the current screen that Bunnix was watching, Adrian stood wide-eyed as he watched her retreat from his bedroom window. Uh-oh. "Hey, Ladybug? I think I found your answer." "Oh my gosh. What if the reason why Chat knew my identity was because Adrian saw me and put two and two together because of the gift? Chat has told me a couple times before that he was friends with Adrian, so what if he told him without me knowing?" Whoa, slow down. I know that theory was mainly as a result of you freaking out, but I think you're onto something. Ladybug's earrings beeped, and she ran to Bunnix's side. "Bunnix, I need you to take me to 10 minutes before that very moment you just watched. I think I know what I need to do." Bunnix nodded and opened up a portal for her. She jumped in, and Bunnix was alone once again. Hi! So, for one final note, we aren't going to change her miraculous cure scene, because it's fine how it is. All of the ending stuff can stay too, because, I mean, come on. That parallel scene at the end where Ladybug rests her head on Chat's shoulder, golden. But I really wanted to add one final scene, and I'll explain why after. So now, let's continue. Bunnix stepped through the portal and was in her room once again. She lifted her transformation and collapsed on the floor from exhaustion. After a few moments, someone cleared their throat, and Alex scrambled to her feet. She wasn't alone. "Hello, Alex. We've been expecting you." "Ladybug? Chat Noir? What are you doing in my room?" "Well, you did just save the universe," Chat Noir replied. "Well, thank you for the support?" Alex awkwardly replied. Alex had a feeling that they would want to talk to her after she got back, given the huge deal that Ladybug had made about it, but she hadn't thought that they would be waiting for her. "No problem," welcome, they replied in unison. "Well, we just came to make sure that you were feeling alright after we put you through all of that, and it seems that you aren't. What's troubling you, Alex? Ladybug inquired. Oh, you know, just witnessing Armageddon and being thrown through the ringer over and over again emotionally. Chat Noir snickered at her sarcasm, and an annoyed Ladybug elbowed him in the side. Hard. Ow! Sorry. I'm sure that it was traumatic. But I can tell that you have a lot brewing in your head. We are here to answer any questions that you might have, Ladybug calmly replied. Well, I have a lot, actually. But there's one that's been racking my brain ever since I got back. Go on. There was a long pause. Why did the universe almost completely fall apart as a result of your identities being revealed? Ladybug and Shat gave each other a knowing look, and Shat turned to her. To put it simply, it wasn't the right time. Ladybug cut in. As you know, Alex, the universe's plan is like a puzzle. And back then, it was the wrong puzzle piece at the wrong time. Back then, we were impatient and inexperienced, and we needed to find ourselves before we could find each other. She took Shat's hand in hers. The time will come when the universe is ready for our younger selves to know each other's identities, and I know now that that patience was worth it. Shat finished, and gave his partner a loving smile. Fiend. And that's the end! That's right, baby! It's finally over! Oh my god! That was a lot! Yeah, that second part was filled with emotions, as you could tell. There was definitely less scene jumps or scene changes in this one, because it was kind of all wrapping it all up. And as promised, I want to explain why I added the last little bit. So, I found that a lot of people read that once Chat Blanc aired, it was practically saying, if they find out each other's identities, then the world's gonna end. Well, I mean, we kind of did that too, but I added a condition to add hope for their relationship. Because it seems like the show writers literally destroyed all hope for them to ever get together. You know what I mean? So I just really wanted to make it so that the audience could actually feel hopeful for them to get together in the future. Like, kind of making it so that, oh, well, maybe it just wasn't the right time. Instead of, the universe will be destroyed. It was just kind of dumb logic. So I just wanted to kind of reverse a little bit of that dumb logic, kind of tie it into the timeline, or just the way that time works, because another thing that was kind of weird in this episode was how they just like completely failed to explain how time works. I mean, they kind of did, but they didn't do a really good job. So Gale and I just really wanted to connect their relationship with how time works and like how it would affect the universe at the wrong time, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. I hope that you guys enjoyed our rewrite. It was such a blast writing this, and I hope that you guys had a blast listening to it, because I know that Gale and I poured our hearts and souls into this project, and yeah, just make sure to drop a like below and tell us what you thought in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and follow me for more miraculous content. I don't know, I'm also thinking of expanding my channel maybe to other content as well. I'm not promising anything. As you can tell, my upload schedule is literally the worst upload schedule in history. I will say, drop an F in the chat for my freaking windpipes. Jesus. Oh my god. I didn't take one single sip of water during that. This raw recording is an hour and 6 minutes long. Okay, I need to end this. Alright, so yeah. Anyway guys, I hope you all enjoyed. My name is Patrikios, and I will see you all later. Goodbye!